Never underestimate the power of the spoken word. Words cast spells. That's why it's called spelling. What you say is what you get. We're going to speak wealth, health, prosperity, generosity, and kindness. Repeat after me. I feel amazing. I feel wonderful. I feel grateful to be alive. I am grateful for my hands, my feet, my eyesight, my tongue, my teeth. I am grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I am grateful that my income is constantly increasing. My money-making ideas are constantly increasing. I am a generous person. Put out kind energy, positive energy, and I receive it back. Say it often.
What's going on, beautiful people? It's your girl, Kira Savvy Kira on Instagram and Facebook. As you already know, this is literally just talk radio, talk heavy TV. A very happy new year to one and all. I hope, if you're seeing this wherever you are, in whatever part of the world you're in, however you approach the new year, this new calendar year, I hope you are well. I hope you are doing well. I hope you are taking care of yourself and taking care of those that you care about. So, the video I posted in the beginning of this show, with the approach of the new year, I started to think about my words, watching my mouth. More specifically, how I speak to myself and how the things that I tell myself create my experience. It creates how I approach situations. It creates how I deal with other people and how I deal with me. So this first episode of the new year, I really wanted to speak about, watching your mouth. Paying attention to how you speak to yourself and the things that you tell yourself, and how things that you tell yourself, even if you're being realistic about them, can be very damaging to you and your situation. If you're speaking to yourself in a negative light with a negative connotation, then things will always be that way. I am a person that really believes in the power of words. I believe in how we use the words that we decide to use, the things that we speak to people. How speaking negative to yourself and speaking negative to other people can have very profound effects. It's almost that saying of sticks and stones may hurt your bones. I'm dating myself right now. Sticks and stones may hurt your bones, but words can never hurt you. And I like to challenge that concept right now, because words can hurt you. They can hurt you. Growing up, that saying was for us to not pay attention to what people may say about us, for us to turn that inward, to look at ourselves differently, for it to be damaging. But there is power in words. There is power in the way that we use words, and the way that we speak to ourselves can be damaging. Let's not even talk about the way that we talk to other people. A lot of times, the way we speak to other people is a great example of what we think and what we feel about ourselves. Just like the way we treat other people is a good example of who we are and what we represent and how we feel about us, how we feel about ourselves. So if you've never been a person to think about the words that you decide to use when you're speaking to yourself, when you get ready to do something, or when you get on the verge of, taking the next step, getting involved in that relationship, going for that new job, make sure that you take the time, that you take the opportunity to really pay attention to how you speak to yourself. You might talk yourself out of doing something that you should be doing for you. You might talk yourself out of and away from, the next great chapter in your life because of the way you choose to see yourself, because of the way you choose to speak to yourself. And for those of you who might never have, heard me actually talk before or talk about subjects like this before, is because I speak on these things because I know what it means to have to look at yourself and listen to yourself and listen to the way you speak to yourself. I was a girl that grew up with a lot of insecurities. We grew up with thinking that I wasn't pretty because of what everybody else told me. And I turned that inward. And it became a self-reflection. It became a reflection of who I was. It became a reflection of my shyness. It became a reflection of how I would present myself. And it wasn't until much later on in my life that I had to discover that the way I've always spoken to myself about my existence, about my appearance, about anything that I'm doing is because I thought negatively about myself. Sometimes the way we think about ourselves is really just, it stems from a way we've always thought and something that we've never seen as being wrong, but yet a part of who we actually are and a part of our existence. So if the way that you've always spoken to yourself has never worked out for you, if it's always had you end up feeling the same way or being in the same situations, you have to ask yourself, what can I do to change the way that I see me? What can I do to change the way I think of me? And change the way I look at the world around me? Because when you think about what words you use, you may come to find that they've always been damaging and not necessarily just a part of you. I also came to believe, stepping more into my spirituality, that what you speak is what you get. Some people call it manifesting. I believe that you can manifest negativity. I believe you can manifest bad happenings. You can manifest bad situations by always speaking to them in a negative light. And putting that out into the universe, putting that energy out into the universe. You have to tell yourself that I am. And whatever you say I am, that's what you will be. Whether it's negative or whether it's positive. Just like you have to tell yourself, I am not. There was another video that I watched before, and it was circulating around for a while. I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but if you ever seen this video that I'm explaining, leave me a link to it because I like to share that. And this is exactly what I mean by the effect of words. So it was basically a video about water and the vibration of a certain word when the word was spoken, the effect that it had on the water itself, from going from a liquid to a solid, basically. So I think it was like the effects on ice or something, like a solid ice. Somebody knows what I'm talking about. So when these words were spoken through a vibration, it affected the solid. It turned it into different things. It gave it different forms. It gave it different shapes. Like words like love gave the solid a very calm shape, a very smooth shape with, all four corners were equal or connected, But a word like hate was given to the shape like spikes. Basically, the point I'm trying to make, follow me here, if you're not following me, is that words have an effect on us. they have an effect on our bodies. And I decided to dig a little deeper into that, as I always do, and say that because we're made of water and we're a solid, the words that we speak, it makes our solid beautiful, it makes us equal, it makes us balanced, or the opposite. The words that we speak to ourselves can either be beautiful or they can be damaging. So just watch your mouth. Watch how you speak into yourself. Because what happens when you start paying more attention to the things that you say to yourself, you pay more attention to what comes out of your mouth and the things you say to other people. Because you know that even speaking certain things about yourself can be damaging to other people. You know that speaking certain words to people can be damaging. And I don't think that's something that we pay enough attention to. People say what they want to say. People think what they want to think. And are you entitled to that? Why not? You know, even though everybody has some sort or some sense of entitlement. But your words is what it defines who you are. You know, people will say that, oh, just because I speak on a certain thing doesn't mean that I feel that way. Then why are you speaking it? Why are you saying it? Make sure you pay attention to the things that you speak. Because all words, they start here. They start with a thought. They start with the idea. And that's where we get the ideas about ourselves from. And the way we decide to speak to other people. So for me, it's to say, I'm going to choose to do something different. I am choosing to speak positivity to myself so that I can speak positivity into my life. So that I can keep positivity around me. And it's a work in progress, like everything. It's not something that just happens, you know. And I just said this not too long ago in my live, which y'all can check out on my page, Instagram or Facebook at Savvy Kira, SavvyKira. You have to pay attention. Pay attention to how you speak to yourself, especially in the world that we live in today, where things can be extremely hurtful or extremely harmful, and everybody is very sensitive. Everybody is sensitive to that. And I think people have become more sensitive because they decided to pay attention to the way other people say and do things and how it affects them. But what about the things that you say to yourself and how it affects you? See, going back to that whole sticks and stones may break your bones, but words will never hurt you. That was in a time where we were taught to not let words affect us, to be us regardless, to know who we are, to know what we stand for, to know who we're becoming. But now it's really projected onto other things and other people and other situations, because we care more about how the things that other people say affect us more than we care about how the things we say to ourselves affect us. Because being a little old school, it shouldn't affect you more. Other things people say shouldn't affect you more than what you say to yourself. It shouldn't. But we still should also be mindful, Be mindful of how we speaking. So that's that, y'all. I'm going to come back with a part 2, and I'll check y'all on that. So part 2 being mindful of how you speak into yourself. And y'all gotta forgive me, because sometimes I really have to take a moment to step back, to think about my words and to think about how I want to present them and what I want to say to y'all. Being mindful of the way you speak to yourself becomes the most important when you get into a situation where you hit a roadblock. And because of that roadblock, you start to self-doubt. You start to turn things inward. Why do things like this always happen to me and my life? Why do I always get to places where, I can't get ahead? Or I'm trying to do all the best things for me. I'm speaking to myself positively. I'm meditating. I'm doing the work. But I always hit a block in the road, I really think it's what we say to ourselves in those moments that truly make a difference. Don't allow constant circumstances or being in certain circumstances allow you to doubt yourself. See, because when you doubt yourself, you'll constantly doubt yourself in every situation that you encounter. And every situation kind of ends up feeling the same or being the same because you still hold that self-doubt. And I think that's something that we have to let go of when we speak to ourselves. I really think, and I know that this is significant in being said because just Friday, January 6th, I was on a panel discussion about trusting your inner self, listening to your inner self. And I'll drop the link to that as well so y'all can check it out, because I was really on that panel with some enlightened individuals. And I felt like even though we came from different backgrounds and different places and different ethnicities and different races, we still went through very similar situations to have to listen to our inner self and trust our intuition. Don't allow the circumstances that you've been in and the experiences that you had make your self-doubt actually grow. Allow your self-doubt to grow within you. When you choose, no matter what you encounter, to speak to yourself positively and say, you know what, regardless of what's being thrown at me, that negative voice in the back of my mind that's constantly telling me I can't, you can change that voice to I can, that I can do, that I can be everything it is that I want to be. And it's something that you have to target. You have to target it. And you have to be able to control your own mind in the way that you speak to you. Watch your mouth. Watch the energy that you're putting out into the universe. Watch how you speak to yourself. Watch how you let and what you allow other people to speak into you, into your existence. See, because energy for me is everything. And words create a vibration. They send a vibration. Energy is that reverb. It's what we create around us. It's what we speak out around us. And when we speak certain words, when we say certain things, yeah, they can very well be damaging. Words can hurt you. Your own words can hurt you. I'll never be. I don't have it within me to be. I can't do. We kind of basically write out our own paths. We spell out our own damage. We spell out our own detriment. And we dwell in that and we live in it from the words that we constantly speak to ourselves. So the one thing I like you to get from that, and the one thing I like you to get from what I'm saying, is to listen. Listen to how you talk to yourself. Listen to the words that you speak before they're spoken. Listen to how you create that in your own mind, and how that very well may cause you to be in the same existence. Watch how you speak to other people, because you may cause detriment in their lives. You may cause harm in their lives without even knowing the effect of your words and how heavy your words can be. Listen to how you talk to your children, how you talk to your significant other. Are you motivating them to be better? Or are you damaging them? Even through discipline, especially with children. That's one of the hardest parts, because you want them to learn a lesson. But you got to be able to talk to them the way you would want somebody to talk to you. You got to teach them the way you would want somebody to teach you. Not the way you were raised. Not the words that were spoken to you that may have caused you to have a certain thought process and speak to your children the same way that you were spoken to. Because maybe the damage that you may have as an adult stems from the way you were spoken to as a child. And you don't even realize in speaking to your children that you create in the same cycle of damage. There has been times where I've had to come back and apologize to my kids because I recognized something that I did that perhaps my mother did or my father did that I felt in my adulthood was wrong. And I wish could have been handled better. And I wish the conversation was different. So I create a different space with my children. I create a conversation with them different. I speak to them differently. I speak to them the way I would want somebody to speak to me. Whether you realize it or not, it all comes back to us. It all comes back to how we think. Every single word that I'm saying right now matters. And see, people have a misconception of people who look off to the side while they're speaking. You know, they call people who, don't make direct contact all the time having shifty eyes, and they can't be trusted. And that's something that I've heard throughout my life. It's a different type of language. It's a body language, and it's charged to speaking to someone who's lying. But for me, I actually look off to the side and look off camera because I'm thinking about what I want to say next. Like, if I don't continue to keep the body language of direct contact with somebody while I'm talking, it's because I want to make sure that I'm thinking about the words that I'm choosing to speak because I don't want to have to apologize for anything I say. I watch my mouth. I don't speak anymore out of anger. Learning to control my emotion. Knowing how I'm going to react to certain things. Knowing that if something is said that I feel is targeted at me, my direct response, like most people, would be defense. See, when we take time to talk to ourselves, self-talk, to think about the words that we use to describe ourselves, the words that we use to even express who we are to other people, we'll start to think more about what we say, about what we speak, about what we put out into the universe. And I'm telling you, if that's not more important now than it has ever been, I don't know what is. And for me, I feel like there's definitely a connection there with the panel discussion I was on about talking to your inner self, listening to your inner self, and me even having the idea of saying, watch your mouth. Know what you're saying. When you speak into yourself, know who you are. Know who you talking to, baby. So that you can show other people who they talking to. And it's okay if you don't understand it. It's okay if you don't fully grasp the concept of it. It's not there for you to try to understand overnight. It takes time, knowledge, learning, relearning even, a thought process. Take time. And the one thing I will preach, grace and time. Grace and time. That's all you really have, you know. That's it. So, make sure y'all catch me here on YouTube every first and last Saturday of the month. The show will be posted by 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Every once in a blue moon, I actually go live on Facebook at Savvy Kira, SAVVYKIRA. You can also catch the show, previous shows, on my website, www.ljtrtawk.com. Merchandise is one of my old designs, but very new. Too much glow to let it go, because you know that's what I got. You know, my book, More Than Meets the Eye, Vivid Paintings of Poetry, available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and also my website. And yeah, it's all love. Till next time, peace.
Mixed emotions, and it's too much sometimes. Makes the